We're going to talk about them on your favorite show on the entire internet.
Good weekend.
Bad weekend. Bad weekend. Bad weekend.
Good weekend. Arsenal. The mighty Gunners and their manager Arsene Wenger in particular have finally overcome one of their biggest drawbacks, setbacks, weaknesses, obstacles, nemesises, if that's even a word. But whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. When they beat the mighty Blues of Chelsea 1-0 for the Community Shield, everyone's favorite first trophy of the season in England. Blues manager, the outspoken yet charming Jose Mourinho, accused Arsenal of being defensive and of parking the bus and only attacking on the counter, but Wenger basically responded with, "Who gives a shit? We won." But you know he wanted to add a little, what in there, and he should have. That would have been awesome. Bad weekend. The men of Chelsea. For a team and manager that prides itself on winning trophies, they looked lethargic, a little out of sorts, and not up for the game, which sadly led to plenty of excuses by Jose Mourinho, who is the master of media manipulation. You know, sometimes I wish he could lose with the same class he usually shows when he wins, but whatever. At least their women know how to win a big game, as the Chelsea ladies won their first ever trophy in their 1-0 triumph over Notts County in the Women's FA Cup final. So let's give it up for the ladies, huh? Come on, give it up, give it up. Winning trophies is a big deal. RESPECT. Good weekend. Paris Saint-Germain. After spending some time with us in New York City 2 weeks ago, which I heard was a dream come true for them, PSG picked up right where they left off last season, a season that saw them sweep all 4 domestic trophies as they won the French Super Cup for the 3rd straight season. This time it was a comfortable 2-0 win over Lyon, which is just another sign that French competition isn't enough for them anymore. Maybe they should head to Spain or England. I bet they would challenge for the title. That is if Zlatan stays. If they go to England though and they get Angel Di Maria, he's not very good in England, so he should go to Spain. And they should go to Spain. I bet they compete. That's my math. Bad weekend. Bayern Munich. The PSG of Germany, because the competition in their home country just isn't that good, somehow, some way, lost to Wolfsburg in penalties in the German Super Cup. They dominated for the majority of the game. Arjen Robben scored, and new signing Douglas Costa dominated down the left side. That is, until everyone's favorite Nicholas Bentner entered the game and showed why he is the Lord. Lord Bentner timed a perfect run to the near post over a Kevin De Bruyne cross in the 88th minute to tie the game, and then he scored the game-winning penalty, and he is a boss. But back to Bayern. Is there a crisis brewing? Manager Pep Guardiola politely refuses to sign a new contract because we all know he's going to Manchester City next season, and that could leave a cloud of uncertainty hanging over the club this season, which means teams like Wolfsburg might actually have a chance, which means the Bundesliga might be interesting this season. Good weekend. The perception of soccer in the United States. On Saturday, MLS teams combined for 39 goals in 8 games. The most in a single day in MLS history, including a crazy 6-4 win for DC United over Real Salt Lake. So take that, people who say the sport is low scoring. Bunch of closed-minded assholes. My highlights from the weekend, this goal by Taylor Kemp from DC United. Let's respect the proper technique.
Now get Kemp. Oh, it's in the net! It's in the net! Taylor Kemp, a sizzler!
Or the Vancouver Whitecaps dominating one of their Cascadia rivals, the Seattle Sounders, 3-0 in Seattle, led by 2 goals from an old center back, Pa Muruka. And you guys know I have a soft spot for old center backs, including this cheeky back heel.
Who has time to turn back into the path of Teixeira. Pa Muruka! Oh my word! Pa Muruka!
And a great free kick by their captain, Pedro Morales.
Pedro Morales! Pedro Morales with a spectacular free kick! And the Whitecaps lead by 3!
Or this no call on a handball in the box by a Houston Dynamo player that would have given my former club, Sporting Kansas City, a penalty kick in injury time to break the 1-1 tie. Now listen, I love Kansas City with all of my heart, and I would lay on railroad tracks for the club and its fans. But after watching this play, my unbiased former defender instincts kicked in, and it reminded me of how much I hated when penalties were called for non-goal scoring opportunities. This was a cross that wasn't even close to being a threat to Houston's goal, and I'm glad the ref recognized it and didn't call it. It would have been a cheap way to win a game that SKC had plenty of chances to do so. Bad weekend. Potenza. Not only are the Italian club, who ply their trade in Serie D, on the verge of bankruptcy, they lost 15-0 in the first round of Copa Italia, which set the record as the biggest loss and highest scoring game in Copa Italia history. I mean, can it get worse than that? I mean, they could have forfeited and lost by a lot less. course, I guess if they go bankrupt and they disappear, that could be worse. They would be impotenza. Good weekend, Aberdeen. After having to travel to Kazakhstan midweek for the Europa League, which unfortunately saw them lose 2-1, but it was only the first leg, the Dons headed to the grounds of Dundee United for the opening game of the Scottish Premiership and stole all 3 points as midfielder Kenny McLean scored the only goal of the game 8 minutes from the final whistle to win 1-0 to start their season off right as they look to challenge Celtic for the title. Good weekend, bad weekend, Carlos Tevez. The good, the Argentine legend, and yes, I'm calling him a legend because he most definitely is, even if Leo Messi doesn't like playing with him on the national team, scored again for Boca Juniors, his first in front of the faithful Boca fans in La Bombonera. The bad, Tevez's club lost at home 4-3 to Unión de Santa Fe, which is unacceptable, and which allowed San Lorenzo to leapfrog them at the top of the table on goal difference, and, even worse for Boca fans, it allowed River Plate to potentially gain some points. River are now only 3 points behind them with a game in hand. Bad weekend, Chivas Guadalajara. No points out of their first 2 games in the Apertura season, including their 1-0 loss at home this past weekend to Cruz Azul. 1 win in their last 10 Liga MX games overall. Injuries to key players, and a lot of their depth from last season gone for this season in the transfer window. I'm looking at you, Cuba Torres and Aldo de Negris, which means only one thing. One of the most famous clubs in Mexico is in deep shit. If they keep up this poor form, and it might stay this way for a while until people can get healthy, they will get relegated, and that would be tragic. Like Arsenal being relegated from the Premier League. Or Barcelona being relegated from La Liga. Good weekend, the Los Angeles Galaxy, because they lured one of the great young players in North America to their team, 26-year-old Mexican international Giovanni Dos Santos, who according to teammate Robbie Keane, who played with him at Tottenham,
he's matured a lot as a flyer. I've been watching a lot of his games. Last year he was one of the best players in La Liga, and he's at an age where he's coming into his peak. He's got everything. He can do everything.
That is a great point, Robbie. Now, Dos Santos could have played anywhere in Mexico or most clubs in Spain after a successful run with Villarreal. So for him to come to LA is huge, and again makes them favorites to win MLS Cup, which if they do, would be their 4th title in 5 years. That's what I like to call a dynasty. Bad weekend, FC Zurich. After battling back from being down twice to Grasshoppers, once at 1-0, then at 2-1 to make it 2-2, Zurich probably thought they had secured a tough point against a tough opponent in the Zurich Derby, which you know would have been one of those draws that feels like a win since they came back twice. But no! They gave up a goal in the 96th minute to substitute Florian Kamberi off a pass from Kim Källström. You guys remember him from his free transfer days with Arsenal? To lose 3-2 and drop Zurich to 9th place out of 10 teams in the Swiss Super League. Good weekend, bad weekend, Liverpool. The good, new signing Christian Benteke scored on his first appearance with the club. The bad, 2 hours after passing his medical to sign a 2-year deal with West Brom, former Red striker Ricky Lambert, who didn't do much of anything on the field for Liverpool last season, scored 2 goals for his new club. And yes, I know most Liverpool fans will say good riddance to Lambert, but still, 2 goals in his first appearance with his new club after only scoring 3 in 36 games for Liverpool. It's pretty good. And yes, I know it was only a friendly that he scored his 2 goals. So whatever, it doesn't matter. Forget I said anything. Good weekend, Gustavo Matosas, the current Atlas manager who got fired from Club America after only 6 months after guiding them to last season's CONCACAF Champions League title, beat his former club with his new club Atlas in Mexico City in the famed Estadio Azteca 3-1. This loss was America's 2nd straight defeat, which is their worst start to a season since 1997. So Dios mío, amigos. Dios mío. Bad weekend, Juventus. The old lady had to have known they were taking a chance signing an injury-prone player in German international Sami Khedira, who played all of 628 minutes last season due to injuries, and who missed the World Cup due to an injury, and 6 months of the prior season due to an injury, and guess what?